Ready?
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm Blake.
And I'm PJ.
And this is episode 31 of the Church Podcast, where we are going over the cultural value. We are charismatic, but not weird. Which is actually kind of funny. Okay, so right now we're in Austin.
Texas.
Yes. We're on our way to a craft show for our leather stuff. And Austin is kind of like Portland, and they always say like keep Portland weird, but Austin is kind of like that same vibe. But,
oh, that's weird.
I know. So that's kind of funny. So we have some local brew.
Some local. Shout out to Austin Beer Works, Flavor Country, Hoppy Pale Ale.
It's pretty good, and we had some brisket, some good barbecue. So we're all
Turks it.
ready to go. Turks. Okay, so
Yeah, so we on the road.
yeah,
Filming on the road.
arrow snapping.
Yeah, so if you hear Arrow's white noise, that's Arrow's white noise.
Yeah. Okay, so this cultural value is so funny, I think, because the best way that I could describe it is like you meet someone who's kind of like weird or like nerdy, and they're like, yeah, like I'm so cool, like you're like I'm not weird, and you're like, okay, why do you feel like you have to say you're not weird? Like obviously you're weird,
Right?
like people who aren't weird don't have to say that they're not weird, and so
I like myself.
yeah. It's like, okay, I didn't think you didn't. Why are you saying that? So that's kind of what this cultural value reminds me of. It's like they knew they were pretty weird in some aspects, and so they just wanted to make it super clear they weren't.
Yeah, so I wrote that it was a disclaimer, not really a cultural value, I feel like.
Yeah.
In a way, but I have mixed feelings about that. So it was a disclaimer in that, like you just said, they believed in the weird stuff that they criticized other churches for being weird about.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they wanted to be relatable to everyone so that they could win everyone.
Yeah.
But, we may win some. And
Yeah.
it's like, so it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too type of cultural value. Like, we're charismatic, we're super spiritual, but not in a weird way. You won't be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Which is also funny because, like, before I went to that church, I didn't know what, like, charismatic meant in the form of spirituality. I grew up in a Baptist church, so they were like, they didn't do that. And so I, like, when they would say, like, oh yeah, like, we're charismatic here, I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I love charismatic people, because I'm thinking, like, oh, they're, like, outgoing and friendly and personable and, like, I looked up the definition just, a couple days ago, and it said, like, a compelling, like, personality type. And so, like, that's what I'm thinking. And I had also, like, been to church. I just hadn't been to a charismatic, spiritual type church, And so it's funny because they were all about, like, reaching the lost, people who had never been to church. And so to them, charismatic means nothing other than, like, a personality type, And so I don't even feel like it really needed to be said. That was
So you think that that's how they interpreted that?
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. And that's how people who have never been to church before, I'm sure, would interpret it. They're not thinking, oh, I bet you they pray in tongues on Sunday because they're charismatic. Like, they don't even know what tongues is. They don't know, they have no idea, like, the scope for any of that. And so I feel like...
Oh, a new person.
Yeah, new person.
I thought you meant they as in they.
Oh, no. Like a new person that they're trying to reach. So I'm saying they're going after, like, unchurched people, and those people have no idea what charismatic means as far as spiritually charismatic.
Right. It's a totally Christian term, so it's like if you're trying to not be weird, then you shouldn't be saying that you're charismatic, which is a foreign language to people that are coming there, they're thinking it's just, oh, they have charisma.
Right, exactly.
They're very friendly, outgoing.
Yeah.
Which might have been something they wanted people to misinterpret it as.
Yeah. Who knows?
Which just goes along with their manipulative ways, but...
Yeah. Well, the rest of my thought was that I feel like it was just something that didn't really need to be said if your true mission is to go after people who are unchurched, because it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah. Well, I think the way they said that was meant to kind of, maybe inadvertently they meant it as like a diss on other churches, because they're basically separating themselves from all the weird charismatic people.
Right.
It's like, we're charismatic, but we're not weird like them.
Right.
You know, you had a bad experience over there, you won't have that here. We're perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just another way to kind of reiterate how super special they are.
Mm-hmm.
We're charismatic, but not weird.
Yeah.
Just perfectly in the middle.
It's like people who are, this is so funny, people who are so insecure, they have to put down other people to like make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this one was.
Yeah. The head pastor literally called the church in Reading, he called Bethel Church retarded.
Yeah.
He said they're spiritually retarded because they're not as relevant as he is. I don't know. He just basically, he brought that up because he didn't want people going to their church, which was a super charismatic church.
Right.
It is a super charismatic church, and you know, whatever. But it was just like, don't stop going there, guys. Like, if you're gonna go to church, just come here.
Yeah.
Stay rooted by the rivers of flowing water, living water. You know, like.
Mind you, I also don't let you have a break any Sunday, so you're not gonna be able to just relax in a service anyway. But it doesn't matter. You can do that any day of the week. You know how to worship the Lord any day of the week.
Yeah. Well, kind of like what you were saying, charismatic is weird.
Yeah.
A charismatic church is weird. Like, it's weird to people that don't know anything about God or Christianity or spirituality or all those things that you know, those churches do. So what they should have said is, we're charismatic and also normal, if they wanted to get that point across. You know, because it's kind of like just saying, we're weird and weird.
Yeah.
Oh, weird but not weird, I mean.
Yeah, that's funny.
I guess the truth was that they were charismatic but very weird. They weren't not weird. So they kind of hid that stuff behind the scenes to all of the visitors on Sunday. Behind the scenes, this is the weirdest fucking church I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Extremely weird. Like, we had these things called encounters, and it's a retreat for like 2.5 days. And the last session, basically, or whatever, I don't even care about which order it's in. One of the sessions, the place is gone, so all of it means nothing. But one of the sessions was about the Holy Spirit and the infilling of the Holy Spirit. And if you don't have God's Spirit in you, it's really bad. And they basically, you know, whether it's real or not, they almost forced people to acquire this heavenly language where you just start blabbering gibberish and it's just going to come through by faith. Like, the Holy Spirit's going to come into you and start speaking. And if it doesn't happen, you just didn't press in enough. And like, that was so discouraging to so many people because they spent the whole weekend, all this money, all this time to get healing and spiritual revelation and breakthrough and all this stuff, only to find out, oh, I didn't get the spirit of tongues.
Yeah.
I didn't get the holy language, which is like, you don't understand that. Come on, nobody understands that.
Yeah.
That may or may not exist. I don't really know. I do feel like I've had experiences with that, but it's not enough to say to anyone, hey, if you can't do this, I don't think you are going to heaven.
Yeah, I don't think you have the
You don't
Holy
know God.
Spirit in you at all.
It was like those encounters, because of stuff like that, people went to them and they either got super fakely fired up or they left because they were going on this good track with like what they thought was a healthy community of fellow believers and stuff, and then they go to this thing and it's like, oh, I'm way messed up. I don't even think I can handle this.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many people went to an encounter and then never came back because it was like they go home, they're an alcoholic or something. They go home and then they have a stressful day, have a beer, and they're like, I thought I got delivered from this. I thought I was good.
Yeah.
And they're just so discouraged, they just vanish.
Mm-hmm.
So, completely defeated the purpose of whatever those things were for.
Yeah, and yes, I agree. And, I mean, encounters in themselves were just fucking weird. They just were. And that's okay, you know, but just admit it and don't act like you're not all weird, you know, 6 days of the week, and then that one day you're like, okay, you're your true colors, you know? It's like they were trying to pretend to be something to get people in, you know?
Which was always hard to tell because they were so flippy-floppy about everything.
Right.
It's like, one day they might be weird. One day the executive senior pastor might be okay with doing something extremely weird to get to wow people, to get like to make people feel like to be in awe of her or something. But then the next day you do something like that and it's like, dude, stop doing that. We're not weird.
Yeah.
That's too weird. You're going to make people feel uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, really?
Like, you just did that.
Should I record the stuff that you do and show you?
So, well, I wanted to tell my encounter thingy before I move on from that. But, yeah, so the first encounter that I went to was really great. I was having a good time. And then during that, like, the Holy Spirit session, you know, they started talking about tongues, and I wasn't, like, too sure about it, but it didn't sound, like, terrible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so then they, like, have everybody kind of, like, practice, you know? So they encourage everybody to just, like, try to do it. So you're kind of, like, spaced a little bit apart, you know, from people, at least a couple seats. And so I was just sitting there. I don't even think I was saying anything. I was just, like, listening to the music that was playing and, like, kind of, like, you know, dancing or something, and then people started coming up to me and, like, telling me how to pray in tongues. Like, it's just like a baby. Just start like this. And then they would, like, pray in tongues, like, really heavily, like, over me. And I was like, what the heck? And I remember thinking, like, well, I didn't think this was weird until now. Even though I heard other people doing it around me, it was, like, until you kind of encroached on my space and, like, made me feel like I had to, like, do something, you know. I was like, okay, that's kind of, like, that makes me uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, I didn't say anything. I just, you know, let it go because then they just left me alone, you know. But there are people who are like, okay, like, I don't want you to do that. And then if you say that, then they'll go really ham because then they think you have a demon in you still that didn't get delivered from 3 sessions ago.
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like those encounters really, really reinforced was, like, some paranoia that you're possessed by demons. Like,
yeah,
you get offended at people, you have a spirit of offense. You, like, I don't know, are addicted to Tinder, you have a spirit of sexual immorality. And you're just, I mean, until you deal with that spirit, you're just never going to be free from that.
No, mind that you're not allowed to date anyone here, so that's the only place you can go.
Right. Yeah, it just like brings me to another point was that I felt like it was so weird and it was a struggle for people to grasp those things. So what they did was they leveraged that like struggle for people as like to kind of reinforce their position as a guide for them. So, like, they kind of always want people in a state of, like, not knowing what they know. Mm-hmm. Because then you need them.
Right.
Forever. And if you step out of your spiritual covering, it's real dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That reminds me of the whole atmosphere thing, too. Like how they would, you know, always try to keep the atmosphere up. And if you're a leader in the room, then you better be, like, really, really fired up and keep the atmosphere, like, way up here because, you know, people are going to go to hell if you don't. And
it's like they thought every day was a constant struggle against demons.
right. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that complicated all the time, you know? And the thing is, too, like, you know, say we were having a meeting and we did some worship before the meeting, like 10 of us or something, even 20 at sometimes. Then we were all having a good time. Sometimes the executive senior pastor was like, okay, whoa, like the atmosphere's way off. Like, none of you feel that? Like, come on, like, press into the spiritual. And
what's
we're
wrong
like,
with your senses?
Right. And it's like, we are all having a great time worshiping. Just because you're not, maybe something's wrong with you, not everybody else.
I actually think all those times we got reamed for not having like a good atmosphere, it was just like her imposing whatever was going on inside of her, all of the turmoil that we know was going on inside of her and him, and they're just like self-imposing that onto the room.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, you guys aren't lifting it up. You guys aren't spiritual enough, basically.
That's why it's like, I feel like nobody should have that position of power. It's just not, it's not safe. It's not, nobody can handle it. You can't handle it.
No.
You need to think way lower of yourself. If you think that you have the right to like dictate other people's decisions, how other people feel, how they should feel, it's just fucking wrong, dude.
It's like,
not that you can't help them. There's a difference between helping them,
right,
and then getting irritated with somebody for having a problem.
And stopping the whole entire room and now making sure, like, making everyone else definitely have a bad time.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, I just see time and time again, like, really no one else is noticing. Maybe there's nothing to notice. You know? Like, look inside yourself. Like, how come no one else notices? It's because nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
It's not because we're all stupid.
Yeah. To me, a great atmosphere is probably totally silent.
Yeah.
Nobody talking. Some beer. Just like peaceful.
Yeah.
So this is why I had mixed feelings about this one being kind of a lie or a diss on other churches. But at the same time, I do feel like the reason that was a good cultural value, maybe actually I think it might have been one of the best cultural values, because I think it kind of communicated that, at least for me, I wanted to be involved in like the deep spiritual side of my belief, of Christianity, you know, the things you can't see, things that are greater than you. But I didn't want people to feel weird about it.
Yeah.
And there was so many, I probably cringed every single week there, you know, at some point, because they would do things that were so weird. And I legitimately wanted to be charismatic, but not weird. I wanted to invite people sometimes, and I wouldn't, because it's like, I just don't want them. I don't want them to see that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it was so weird. And there are things about spirituality or religion or Christianity or whatever that does get weird to people that don't understand where you're coming from or where you're at in your spiritual walk.
Yeah.
And so it's like the encounter thing. It's like we'd always try and get people there, like the week they came to church.
It's like, that was really stupid, actually.
Yeah, because they don't even know us.
They're not ready for that.
They don't know us. We're trying to walk them through dealing with some of the deepest pain of their entire life. And like, it's like that many occasions I wanted to deal with something with God that I was feeling. So I'd go to this encounter thing, and then there would be some leader in my face. And it's like, I'm not interested in talking about this with you. Like, I would literally just kind of shut down and not deal with the stuff I went there to deal with, because someone's there to pray over me, to hug me. It's like, bro, like, back off. I'm here in this spiritual place. That's enough. Let me deal with God. If I need help, I'll ask you.
Yeah. That's true.
And that might have been something for people, you know, that had been there for years, maybe only people on the leadership team who were like in.
Yeah.
already like what we're doing, but not people that, some people didn't even go there.
I know.
They would just reel them in. Oh, $50 more.
All
$50
right.
more. Come on, people, get people here.
Yeah, it was so annoying.
Completely, it actually shows that they didn't care about people, because that's not effective for truly helping people, you know. So my first weird experience was, I think, the very first experience that I had there. My first weird experience was the day I walked in the doors. Like, it wasn't actually on a Sunday. I went there because I was struggling with, like, smoking pot. Is that a sin? You know, like, living with my girlfriend. Am I going to go to hell for this stuff? You know, and I was really questioning inside, you know, and so my brother was already going there, and so I went to one of these events they had to talk to him. I could see that he had clearly changed a lot and was a lot different, was a lot more positive, and I just needed to hang out with my brother and talk to him, and I walked in the door, and immediately, as was the norm for the rest of time there, 5 guys were on me like, hey bro, how you doing? Hey, like, food's over here. You need a drink? Like, what's your name? Can I get your phone number? I'm just like, where's Dave? I want to talk to my brother.
Who are you?
Yeah. And at that point in my life, and at a lot of the points in people's lives where they go to a church for the first time, that they don't want to be bombarded by a bunch of your fucking happiness. And it's like, I wanted to talk to my brother, and it was so culty and awkward, you know. Yeah. Like, it's like, have you guys never asked a girl out on a date? When has that strategy ever worked? Hey, can I get your number? Hi, I'm so and so.
You're real cute.
I like your tats, bro. It's like, all right, who are you? So that was very weird to me. I was at a point in life where you kind of gain friends by proving that you're not a douche. You know, so yeah, walking in, it's like cool. Bring someone a beer, give them a firm handshake, and say, like, welcome, like, and walk away. You know, or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, just don't be. It was so weird.
Just don't be weird.
The weirdest part that I remember was just the positivity. I was not used to positivity. I wasn't in their environment.
Yeah. I
was in normal world environments, you know, and so going in and somewhat, like, very negative. And so to walk in there and have these people be, it's like, dude, are you on ecstasy or something? Nobody smiles like that. So that was very odd to me. My positive note for this episode is that we were charismatic, but that was my positive note.
Yeah, you said it earlier.
So yeah, we were charismatic.
Yeah. And
not necessarily, I think, wanting to diss other churches all the time, but I think our heart was genuinely to not push people away. It's like, we want to delve into spiritual things with you, and like be there for you through that walk. You know, we're not a surface level church.
Right.
But please don't feel awkward. If you have a question, we'll, like, talk it out.
Yeah.
That's at least how I felt.
Yeah.
That's the positive side. What actually was walked out in reality was, like, a lot of the other cultural values. It was twisted, and it was wrong. But I think that cultural value, if any cultural values really were true to our hearts, I think this was like one of the best ones, I think. Yeah. We really wanted to take people deeply in their walk with God. Mm-hmm. There was just too much other messed up shit going on. So
I agree.
So this has been episode 31 the church podcast. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, feedback, unless you don't want to. Cheers.